Hey guys, welcome back to another 3D printing video. And today we got a pretty exciting video because we are going to be unboxing our first LCD resin printer. So this is the first time I ever get to see a resin printer, so this is going to be quite fun and a learning experience. So we're going to do an unboxing and we'll do a few prints and compare it to a regular 3D printer. All right, well, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Let's get started. All right, so I got this printer from a company called Longer 3D. So this printer is called the Orange 10, and it is a LCD SLA Resin 3D printer. So I'm not sure exactly what all those words mean, but I do know that this is a different way to 3D print, especially little detailed prints that go down all the way to 25 microns. So on a normal 3D printer, we go as low as 100 microns, but this thing can go all the way down to 25. So we're talking about 4 times more detail from 0.1 layer height on a regular 3D printer. So that's quite exciting. So I can't wait to use this thing and see how it is. All right, so this is the package that it comes in. It's not very big, as you can see. And the reason for that is because of the way the technology works. It's quite expensive to make this large, and that has something to do with the LCD screen and the resin and things like that. So I'm not too sure where the bottom or the top is, but we'll just go from one side here. All right, so we see foam here, and I see little corner inserts. So that's nice. Okay guys, so this is definitely the bottom, looks like. I see the bottom of the printer. So maybe we can flip this around and just pick it out of the box. So we do have 4 of the corners. Very nice. So this is the very top. Here's some kind of envelope with a clear plastic in there. That's interesting. Okay, so it looks like we have some kind of strainers here. Looks like we have gloves and other things. So yeah guys, this is definitely going to be a whole different experience in 3D printing here. So I do see some Allen wrenches in there. So we are gonna have to, looks like, adjust things, but well, this is quite familiar, this spatula, and it's not sharpened, so kind of useless. So here we have the correct power plug, very nice. The power adapter, which is 12 volts, 5 amps. And here looks like we have, looks like some kind of acrylic parts or something. There's 4 pieces. So it's like clear orange acrylic. So I think this might have something to do with the cover for the printer. Well, actually there's 5. All right, so this part seems to be coming up here. Okay, so there is some other piece inside there. And as you can see guys, it's packed very well. There's a lot of foam all in between here. I think that's maybe some kind of bracket. So this looks like part of the printer here in the bracket. All right, so we're done with this piece of foam. All right, and so here looks like we have the main printer, or the main part. So it looks like we have like a tower here with a lead screw inside. All right, let's go ahead and pull this guy out here. And that's everything, looks like. All right, so as you can see guys, this thing is not very large, and I'm guessing this is the printing area here. So it looks like we have a screen, a touch screen here up front, some venting. Here's the back and the specs here on the back. So we do have a little on and off switch here, and this is where our power will plug in. On the other side, we just have venting here. And towards the bottom, looks like we have a micro SD slot. And if we go to the bottom, we have 4 feet and a fan. So quite a simple printer here. So it looks like the only moving operating parts that we have is this lead screw here. Everything else is stationary. And there is a little switch right here. You guys can see that. I guess that is the homing switch to the top. Very cool. So I did forget to mention, this is the printing size. So this is what you're able to print, 98 millimeters by 55 by 140. So I'm guessing the 98 is this way, 45 is deep, and then 140 high. So that's quite a reasonable print size for a small printer like this. All right, so let's open this little baggie and see what is inside of here. So there's quite a few things here. So we do get a micro SD card with USB adapter, some kind of playing cards. Very interesting. Well, I wonder what that's for. Looks like some kind of little napkin or something. Okay, so maybe this is, you know, just a little napkin towel, I guess, to keep things clean when you're using that resin. And appears to be stickers of some sort. Some gloves here, I guess, to protect yourself from resin. 3 clear rubber band looking things. So yeah, it looks like just a little rubber band. And then 3 Allen wrenches, 3 different sizes. It's kind of bizarre a bit because honestly, I've looked through everything here and I do not see any instruction manual or anything. So we just have all these parts here that we've looked at so far, but no instruction manual. So most likely our instruction manual is on this SD card, or also there is some instructions on their website, on the Longer 3D website, which I'm going to leave some links in the description so you guys can check out the instructions. So I'm going to see what the process is and then we'll start assembling this thing. All right, so for the first part, I think what we need to do is we need to build this little cap that goes over the machine here. So I guess the first thing we need to do is peel all the stickers off of the acrylic. Just like that, and there's both sides. All right, so 1's done, 4 to go. So it's gonna take a couple minutes and then we'll put this thing together. All right, once you peel them all off, you're gonna have a bunch of these panels here. You can see that on one of the ends here, there's a couple holes. And I think this piece here, which is the top technically, goes into those grooves there just like that. So essentially we're gonna put this thing together like a box, and then we're gonna use these rubber bands here to kind of go around it to hold it. So it's a little bit tedious. These stickers here are to assist you to holding the pieces together. So here I have a box that's completely assembled now, and it does come apart easy. So bottom line is you might want to use that tape to help you, this tape here to help you hold it. So that's just a regular tape here. So yeah, essentially you just put the tape around it. I went ahead and did it. So it kind of holds it all together. So once it's all together in one piece, I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna take these little rubber band things, and they should stretch, but I hope they don't break. And we're gonna somehow put it around the whole box here. So I got one on the top, so the top is holding together now. And so there's 3 of them. So I guess you put one on top, then maybe somewhere mid, and then towards the bottom. The only thing I would say though, when you're moving it down, make sure you don't scrape it on the sharp edges or you could cut this little rubber band here. So all right, so we got our box together and it's holding up quite well, so it's not going to come apart. And all this is for is to protect the printing area there from UV light. That's why it's yellow, I think. So it should just go over just like that, and that's how it sits. All right, so now that we got the cover built, let's go ahead and move to the next step, which would be to installing this piece here. I don't know exactly what you would call this, but I think this is the main piece that the print sticks onto as it prints. And so the Z-axis here, let's see, does it turn? So it looks like it won't move unless, you know, we try to spin this by hand, or maybe we should be using the settings on the inside here to level it. So let's just go ahead and hook up the power it on and see what the controls are on here. And one more thing I forgot to mention is that, and I just noticed this, is that the rail that it rides on the back there is actually a linear rail. It feels very solid, this piece here, and it's not moving at all. And that's quite important for, you know, high accuracy. So when we plug the brick in, it does have a blue light indicating power. So because it has an adapter like this, the length that you are able to reach is about 6 feet or more, maybe up to 8 feet from the wall outlet. So all we got to do is plug it in here in the back, and then this is our power switch here. I'm going to hit the power. Okay, so the fan underneath is quite loud actually. So the fan is actually sucking air and then blowing it out on the sides, and it's quite loud. So I noticed the screen is a little fuzzy, and I think there's a protective layer on there. Let's see if we can maybe pull that off. Okay, there we go. It's a little bit hard to get it off, but it does come off. Now it looks really nice. So hopefully you guys can see that. But here we have file and settings. So I'm guessing if you push file, you're going to be reading the SD card, which is not in there right now. So let's click on settings. So here we have move, LED, back, and about. So let's click the about. So here we have the name, the build size, and the version. And this looks like to be a brand new one. It says January 2019, version 1.1. So here we have a LED. So to turn on the LED, it wants to make sure that there is no resin in the tank, and there's not. Okay, so there is a UV light, guys, that just turned on. You can see it maybe. So this is what helps cure the resin. Very interesting. So you can manually turn it on there in the settings. I guess let's go ahead and turn that off. And so here we have move. All right, so here we have up, down, and then 1 millimeter at a time. I'm guessing if you push that, okay, it changes. This now it's 10, 50, 1. So here we have, looks like stop. And then here is probably our leveling button right there. I don't know if you guys can see that, but maybe I can get it closer. So that's the level button. Let's see if we push that, what happens. Now it's saying make sure there's no model in the build area. So we don't have one there. So it's lowering it down. I'm guessing that's all the way down. So let's go ahead and bring this up quite a bit because that's what I wanted to do. All right, so for the next part, I think all we gotta do is we gotta attach this piece to here. Loosen this and then slide this right over the channel like this and then tighten it down. So I guess this is our build plate, 98 by 55 and then 140 down to the bottom. So for the next part, I think what we need to do is we need to remove this whole plate here, or this whole bed bath, whatever this thing's called. So there's these 2 screws here on the side that hold it down and it just comes right off. And this is made out of solid metal. And so there's like a clear plastic here. So it seals it. It's quite interesting how this works. So I'm guessing the light goes through here and builds the model on this side where the resin will be, you know, on here. So this little piece here that was inside the envelope over there actually makes sense now. So this is an extra clear plastic for this guy here. So whenever this gets, I guess, ruined or whatever, old, where it can't project light through it anymore, you can switch it out with this. So I'm not sure what these playing cards are for, but I'm guessing that maybe this is for leveling. And the reason I'm thinking that is because they're quite, you know, close to this dimension here. And I think all we need to do is lay it down right here. And then as we bring this down, we can level it. So before we can do that, we need to loosen, there's 4 bolts here on each side. So this will be loose. So once this is loose, we're ready to go down. So this can go up, down, and, you know, every direction here pretty much. So it should take us all the way down. Hits that, it should come up. So make sure these are quite loose so it can travel if it needs to up and down. All right, so it looks like we're all the way down. So now what we're gonna do is we're just gonna push this thing down. Looks like I need to loosen it a little bit more. Yeah, guys, make sure this is very loose here. I think all we need to do is hold it down with, you know, a couple fingers, making sure it's still all the way down. And then just tighten these 4 bolts. So once you get it pretty good, you can go ahead and tighten it snugly here, not too tight. And I think that is it for our leveling. So I'm just gonna leave it where it is. We're gonna go up. So that should be really close to where it needs to be. So now we can bring our tub back in. All right, so we're just gonna set the tub back in. I don't think it matters which way it goes, either way. So you wanna snug that up where it's not moving around, and that's it. So I'm gonna go ahead and move this thing up some more. All right, so I think we should be ready to print now. And hopefully all the stuff we need is on that SD card right there. All right, so before we can print anything, we're gonna need resin. And my resin came in separately. It is longer branded here. So it is for LCD 3D printers. And we have 250 milliliters here. So I'm not sure what kind of resin comes with the printer. And I'm thinking maybe sometimes you cannot send resin to different places, you know, depending on where you buy it. And this one also is light brown colored. So here on the SD card, we should have some models in here that we can go ahead and print that are included. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the SD card here on the side. So let's go ahead and power the machine on. Let's go to File. All right, so there is quite a few things here. So it looks like there's some kind of bracket and then some low polygon. So I don't know if I'm gonna need the bracket at all or not, whatever that is. So maybe let's go with that second one, low polygon. And the files end with LGS. So I'm not sure exactly how the right way to do this is, but I think we just need to put resin in the tub here. So I'm just gonna go ahead and pour this resin in. All right, so it is light brown. I'm just gonna go ahead and put about half of a tub here. So I can definitely smell the resin. All right, so I switched cameras so you guys can see a little better. So we have the resin in the tank. So I guess we're just gonna start the file. Let's see, play. Okay, it's saying make sure there's no model there. Okay, so it shows us what we're printing here, the time it's gonna take, how many layers there is. So it's coming down and it's going to the resin right now. Hopefully I have everything right. I'm guessing it started. Don't know what it's doing now. Maybe it's heating up or warming up or whatever it's got to do. This is definitely a new experience here. So it's just sitting there not doing anything. I'm not sure. Maybe it's building a first layer. The time is moving along. Okay, so we have temperature here, so maybe it's waiting for it to heat up or something. So we have a pause and a stop button, and I don't think we have any other options here. There's quite a good amount of information here for sure, and it actually shows you the image that you're printing, which is kind of cool. Okay, it's doing something now. So it just went up and then back down. So I just realized that it does show you what layer it's on. So it's on the second layer there out of 1,403 layers. So it looks like we started and it's technically working. We're not going to find out how it's going to look until it starts popping out, if it's even successful at all. Okay, it's doing something again. It just went up and back down. So it's on its third layer now. So I guess I do need to go ahead and put this on there to protect it from UV rays. So that's probably going to make our time lapse not as nice, but that's alright. Alright, so let's hope something good comes out of this. Alright, so I got the GoPro set up there. So the interesting part is on the screen there, you can see that the timing changed to 21 hours. I'm not sure what that's all about, but maybe I'm thinking because of the first layers. It was going really slow, but now it's like every 10 seconds doing a layer. It's moving along now. Okay, so our time went down also. Now it's 15 hours. I guess it's constantly calculating the time according to what it's doing at the moment. So that's kind of interesting. Alright, so I'm just going to let it go, and hopefully we'll see something soon, and I'll do a little update. Alright guys, so here's the update. So it's done almost 500 out of 14. So it's about 35% done. And the cool part is that we can see the model. So it looks like it is stuck to the plate there. And everything is fine. So I was quite relieved to see it. So the thing that's kind of not so good about this design is that because of this metal plate, you can't really see, through it until it gets, about this high, if your model's even stuck to the plate. But ours looks like it's stuck and everything is fine and it keeps on printing. So it's quite exciting to see it coming out there. Maybe we can pop this cover out for a second so we can see a little better. So there it is. This is not as complicated as I thought it was going to be. So there is, a little bit more steps of post-processing and cleaning everything up probably, but starting the print is quite simple. Alright, so I'm going to put this cover back on. So we're getting really close to being done, and it's turning out quite nice. So I guess this is some kind of vase. It looks super good. Alright, so it's finally done, and this is how it turned off. So the screen just goes back to the main menu. Model is just hanging there upside down. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this thing off since the fan is so loud. So let's go ahead and take this cap off. Alright, so here's our model, and it looks pretty nice. So it looks like we used a little bit of our resin, maybe about a quarter or so. Unfortunately, I do see some issue on the model right here, so I don't know exactly what happened there. But the good part is that it did print and it is out, and we didn't lose the model, or it didn't fall off during the printing. At least we were successful, so that means our leveling probably was good. Alright, so I think what we got to do next is a little bit involved, because this is not like something that you just print and then you're done, because it is still all wet and has resin all over it, so we have to wash it. And there is resin here also. So what we're going to need for post-processing, some kind of little tub, alcohol, and a bunch of these towels. So it's probably a good idea to put on some gloves, and you definitely want to put the right kind of gloves, because not all gloves can protect you from resins. So I think the blue ones are the ones that are the right kind. Alright, so I went ahead and put one of the gloves on, and you can see it's a little small on me, but so I think all we got to do is loosen this on the top here, and we should be able to move our model out. I'm going to go ahead and try to pour the rest of the resin out so you can see it dripping down there. So this is definitely a little bit tedious. Alright, so I'm not sure if the model will just come off easily or not. If you look at it there, it looks like it made a little layer between the model and the build plate. So I guess that's to connect it better to the build plate so it doesn't pop off. Well, that's pretty cool. Yeah, it's definitely not coming off easy. So I guess the point of it now is that you just kind of wash it off with some alcohol, to clean up the resin. So, and I think I need to take a scraper and try to scrape it off. So let's see if we can do that. Alright, so it comes off quite easy with the scraper, as you guys can see here, hopefully. Definitely stuck on there really good, but there we go. Pops right off. So I guess I can go ahead and hang this back up over here. Alright, so this is what the model looks like. So we definitely had an issue here on this upper part, unfortunately. I don't know what happened there, so maybe it just got stuck or something. Something weird happened. But other than that, it did turn out quite well, and it looks really good. So I'm going to go ahead and wash it really good, and we'll take a little closer look. So it's actually not as bad, the post-processing, as I thought it would be. It's pretty straightforward. You just kind of wash the model in the alcohol and that's it. It's pretty clean after that. So I know this thing probably didn't cure all the way yet, so it'd be good to cure it like in the sun or with some UV light. So it seemed like it cured pretty well just in the machine. Okay, so I guess we need to take a knife and cut this around a little better. So yeah, there's a lot of smells going on with the alcohol and the resin, so you definitely want to, you know, ventilate your area. Alright, so we cleaned it up a bit here. Let's take a closer look on how it looks. It's actually quite nice. So I wasn't able to clean this really good, but kind of a quick job here. But overall, it actually looks nice. Look at the level of detail. I mean, those are tiny little holes. I mean, that's insane. So the quality's there, but we do have a few little issues. There's a layering issue right here, kind of some sort. And then this huge issue here. So I have a feeling that whenever it was printing, it got stuck or something happened, or maybe it's just a corrupt file. Very weird. But if it wasn't for that, it looks amazing. I can totally see how this would be an awesome way to print, especially for detail small items. I'm going to go ahead and print some more things. I'm going to choose some more files that are on the SD card, print those out, and then I want to try to slice maybe a benchy and print that on here, because that would be a pretty cool print, I think, and we can really see how that turns out. We technically know what benchies look like, but you know, judging by this, I have a feeling it's going to be amazing. So since we have already everything ready to go, so all we gotta do is turn it on. Maybe I'll add a little more resin to it, pick another file, and start printing. So I guess let's do this Mac Rupta or whatever this is, I'm not sure. Anyways, so I think I don't have to level this all over again and things like that, so I'm just gonna tighten that up and send it back down, because technically that should not change the leveling. Once we do it once, it should always technically be pretty good. So okay, so that's what that guy looks like. Alright, that looks kind of weird, but whatever. So it looks like this one's going to take 6 hours and 30 minutes, so a little bit longer than the last one. So the plate's going in the tub, and it should start printing shortly here. Hopefully we don't have any pieces down there, and I don't think we do, because everything seemed to come up just fine with that. I guess that might be something good to check for, just in case, if you're thinking you might have something. Alright, so it started printing and did 2 layers out of 1794. So I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit more resin, just in case, just so it has enough, and we should be good to go. So once it comes out, we'll check up on it, but hopefully this one will go good, and we'll see how it turns out. So it's been 4 hours, and it's 65% done, and it's quite interesting. I think it's backwards. In any case, it is happening. Something looks kind of funny down there, so I'm not sure exactly what's going on. There still seems to be enough resin in the tank, so I'm not sure if I need to add more or not. But I'm just going to leave it and see what happens, and hopefully it'll turn out pretty good. Alright, so I printed a few more models. So this is the model that was printing that we couldn't really see because it was the back. And as you can see, guys, it turned out awesome. And I do have another little head here. And also I printed a 3D bench, and we'll look at that also here in a second. So these 3 models here are the ones that were on the SD card. So we already looked at this thing. So this model here turned out amazingly well, guys. Let's see if I can show you closer. But look at the detail on that. I mean, that's quite phenomenal. There's no way in the world that a normal 3D printer can do this level of quality. It's quite amazing. And this thing is solid, so there's a lot of resin that went into this guy here. But you can see he looks quite well. And it did print like this little layer here, which I didn't rip off yet. So it's like a little buffer between the model and the plate. And I guess it gives it more surface area to hold on to. If you guys look, you can see there's a little bit of layering right here. But it's very minor. Under the chin here, you can kind of see right there, the light hits it just right. There's a little line that goes all the way around. So something funny happened there, and it kind of went all the way around him. But other than that, he's practically perfect. I mean, look at the detail on that ear, and the face, and the lips, the nose. It's quite phenomenal. So in this model, you can really see what the resin printer is good at, and that's detail. So after this, I printed another model that was on the SD card, and it's this head here. Forgot what it was called, but it's quite popular. And this turned out very well also. You can see the quality of detail on this. The interesting about this model is actually quite hollow, and there's holes here on the bottom. So this didn't take almost any resin because it's hollow. So yeah, the level of detail is phenomenal. So after printing the SD card models, I decided that maybe I should slice my own model. So I wanted to do a benchy, and so we have a benchy here. Now there is a few issues, and I think it has to do with my slicing, especially with the bottom, because as you can see here, the bottom is gone there and it's compressed. So I think somewhere in the slicing settings I did it wrong, and it basically was too close. So this was the first model I printed, so I didn't know that that was going to exist. And honestly, I don't even know what parameters to move to fix that. So I'll have to look into that. But if we look at the rest of the benchy, we can see the quality continues to be quite amazing. So every little detail is practically perfect. The only part that's kind of weird is that there's diagonal lines in the print. And I found that to be kind of strange, because usually the normal printers, those lines show up. There we go. So you can see those lines there. But other than that, it's quite phenomenal. It's practically perfection. And the crazy part is, if I can show this, but you can read that 3D benchy so clearly on this. It's basically perfect. So because I sliced this, I don't think it's as good as it could have been. There's parameters that I'm very unfamiliar with when it comes to, you know, the curing time, how long, things like that, how strong the light for the cure and things like that. So this is the reason I think that this could be better. And so for our last print here is I have a chess pawn, a king chess pawn that I printed because it was quite complicated, and actually it's been hanging in there for about a day like this. The reason I left it in there, I wanted to see what would happen if I would just leave it. And the resin is in the tank. And obviously I also sliced that model too. So I'm pretty excited to see what it looks like. Let's go ahead and bring it out. So one of the things that turned me off about resin printers before was the cleanup. I thought the cleanup would be, you know, torturous, but it's actually extremely straightforward. So as we can see, the resin is still quite liquid, and there's no issues with it, you know, getting sticky or hard, looks like. So yeah, this thing looks pretty awesome. Let's go ahead and see if we can break it loose. But you can see that it was barely touching the build plate there, contact area that it has. But I have a feeling that this thing has the elephant foot also, just like the benchy did. So I'm just going to put a little bit of alcohol here on the bottom. And so far I've had very good luck of just popping these things off. So let's see how this one comes out, since it's been sitting for a while and cured a lot better. So yeah, it just pops right off. It is kind of a violent pop off, but you know, with a little nudge it comes right off, no problem. I'm just gonna put this back here. So yeah, now I'm just gonna spray down some alcohol. So this one's really easy to clean. Just gonna give it a little bath here, and that's pretty much all you need to do. And then, you know, kind of wipe it down with a napkin. So I definitely noticed that if you put this outside in the sun, the models, they dry up really nice and good. But if you leave them in the house, you know, it's gonna take a while for it to get harder. And by the way, guys, the two models that I sliced was the benchy, and they were sliced in 25 microns, which is quite fine. There's still a phenomena that I can see that there's layer lines, and I have a feeling that maybe that wasn't the right slice. Maybe I should have did 50 microns. And the reason for that is because this thing goes up and down so many times, and it needs to be so precise. I'm thinking maybe the lead screw there is not exactly perfect, and the bushing down there between the motor and the lead screw is actually the flexible kind that can move up and down or flex back and forth. And I'm thinking maybe that's resulting in a little bit of Z-axis layer issues, because if you look at this model here, you can see the little steps all the way up here, everything that goes vertical. So not a big deal, but other than that, guys, you can see this is quite an amazing little model here. So I did get the elephant foot on this one too a bit. But overall, a great print, and I mean, just amazing what a printer like this can do. So the amount of detail is quite phenomenal. So yeah, I'm very impressed with the resin printer overall. So I guess we need to talk about the cleaning process. So once you're done printing and you're done using this thing, I'm not sure how many days you can just leave it out like that, but I left it for a day and it doesn't look like much of an issue, but I don't think you want to leave this out long. So what we're going to do is we're going to take off the bath here, and we're going to pour the remaining resin back into the bottle. And so that's what these strainers that they gave us are for, or at least that's what I think they're for. Alright, so all we're going to do is grab this tub, just quite heavy, and then we're going to pour the resin in slowly. So this is definitely not the glamorous part of the printing process here. You know, and if you spill this resin and it goes all over the place, you know, you're not going to really enjoy the cleanup and all that jazz. But, you know, once you get used to it, it's not that big of a deal, and it's actually not as hard as it seems to deal with this stuff. You kind of already know what to expect. So yeah, you're going to need definitely a bunch of paper towels and things like that. And I'm not wearing gloves right now, but you probably should wear gloves just in case. The tub with alcohol is definitely going to be your friend. So we're just going to put some alcohol in there. So yeah, essentially we're just cleaning up the resin that's in the tank. Use alcohol and then wipe it down and it should be good to go. So yeah, it's simple as that. I did forget to take this off. I should have probably cleaned this first. So yeah guys, you can tell that it's not too hard to clean this thing up. I mean, it is going to take you, a couple minutes. But if you do want to get that high quality resin prints, this is something that you have to deal with. So yeah, not a big deal at all, guys. All right, and that's the longer orange tin resin 3D printer. So as you can see, guys, the process is definitely somewhat involved, but the setup and start is quite quick. The slicer software that's included with the longer and the SD card is quite easy to use, but it is only for Windows, at least at the moment. And there's definitely a learning curve because you can see I have the elephant foot there. But other than that, everything else seems all right. So to summarize on the resin printer here is, I would say that if you need small prints that are very accurate, there's just no way around that. You have to use a resin printer because a resin printer will give you the quality that you're looking for. But using a resin printer obviously involves a little different approach than a regular 3D printer. You have to use resin, so you have to buy resin. Resin is not that cheap, so printing these things out is going to cost quite a bit more than your typical PLA style filament. So all the models you see here was printed with 250 milliliters of resin. So we poured some back. So we probably used about 200 milliliters here, just what you see here up front. So that equates to about $15 or so of prints here that you see. Plus we're getting a different kind of compound, which is resin. Technically should be stronger and more durable after it completely cures. But as far as the longer orange tin is concerned, I have to give this thing a thumbs up. It was very easy to set up, to get started, and it produced the prints just like it was supposed to. Not knowing what's going on or what to do here, being a beginner for this kind of printer, it was actually quite intuitive and easy to use. So as we know, these kind of printers are not cheap because there's a lot of technology involved in printing like this. But this printer here is more on the budget side and it's actually under $300, which makes it quite affordable for anyone to print with this type of printer. Alright guys, well hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, then hit that like button. If you want to get a resin printer like this, I'll leave some links in the description, so check that out. And if you enjoy videos like this and you're not subscribed, I do a lot of 3D printing stuff and there's a lot more to come. So hit that subscribe button if you want to see more. Alright, well thanks for watching and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.